He told the alien woman, "You have great eyes," got an unexpected reaction. Commander Jaren had always believed that space was a place of mystery, danger, and wonder. After years of rigorous training, countless simulations, and long journeys aboard starships, he finally stood on the surface of a planet few humans had ever set foot on. The planet, called Vierlia, lay at the edge of the Gliese system. Its skies shimmered in shades of violet and turquoise, with twin moons hanging low, casting faint reflections on the smooth, metallic-like soil. Jaren took a cautious step forward, feeling the crunch of unfamiliar ground beneath his boots. The air was breathable but had a faint, sweet fragrance. Strange plants stretched tall around him, their translucent leaves glowing softly in the dim light. Tiny creatures resembling a cross between butterflies and fish floated through the air, leaving trails of faint luminescence. It was unlike anything he had ever seen on Earth. He adjusted his suit and checked his instruments. Sensors indicated the planet was rich in energy signatures and life forms, some of which seemed intelligent. This was exactly why he had been sent here, to explore, understand, and make first contact if possible. Yet despite all the training and preparation, a sense of awe and nervousness swelled in him. "Keep it steady, Jaren," he whispered to himself. "It's just another planet, maybe another civilization. Just be careful." As he moved cautiously, scanning the environment, a sudden glimmer caught his eye. At first he thought it was a reflection from the plants, but as he stepped closer, he realized it was something, or someone, moving in the distance. A figure appeared, humanoid but distinctly alien. She had a tall, graceful form, her skin a soft shade of silver that seemed to reflect the surrounding light. Her hair, long and flowing like liquid metal, shimmered in the violet sky, but it was her eyes that held him still. They were enormous, almond-shaped, and glowing with colors he could not even name, shifting from sapphire blue to emerald green in gentle waves. For a moment, Jaren's thoughts froze. He had studied alien physiology and seen holographic images of many species, but nothing prepared him for the intensity of her gaze. Jaren cleared his throat, forcing himself to speak. "Hello, I come in peace. My name is Commander Jaren from Earth." The alien woman tilted her head slightly, studying him with those mesmerizing eyes. She made no sound at first, just observing, as if trying to understand whether he was a friend or a threat. Jaren could feel his pulse quicken. Every instinct screamed to step back, but another, stronger feeling urged him to stay. Then he remembered something simple but universal: kindness. A small smile touched his lips. "You have great eyes," he said, unsure if the compliment would even translate across species. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then the most unexpected reaction occurred. Her body shimmered and her eyes began to glow brighter, pulsating in rhythm with some internal energy he could not perceive. The plants around them seemed to respond too, their leaves and stems bending slightly, glowing in tandem with her reaction. Jaren took a cautious step back. His mind raced. "Did I just?" he muttered. He had intended to be polite, friendly, and simple, but somehow his words had triggered something extraordinary. The alien woman, Lyria, finally spoke, but not with her voice. A soft melody filled Jaren's mind, warm and musical, almost like a song without words. Emotions surged within him, calm, curiosity, and a strange, intimate sense of connection. It was as if she had shared a part of her consciousness with him. He steadied himself, taking a deep breath. I didn't mean to startle you. I just wanted to be friendly." The melody faded slightly, replaced by a gentle understanding. Jaren noticed a movement in her eyes, a depth of emotion that seemed to welcome his presence rather than reject it. Lyria took a slow step forward, her glowing eyes never leaving his. "You understand me?" Jaren asked, feeling slightly foolish but desperate for clarity. She tilted her head again, and this time words came in a soft, lyrical voice. "Not with words, but with feeling. You have shared intent, Commander. You wish to connect without fear." Jaren nodded slowly. "Yes, I want to understand you, your people, this world. I want us to be friends." Her eyes shifted colors again, this time a vibrant gold mixed with violet. The glow softened as if she was relaxing. Jaren realized she was trying to make him feel comfortable, to bridge the gap between their species. Curiosity replaced Jaren's nervousness. "May I approach?" he asked. She stepped aside slightly, signaling permission. Jaren moved closer, careful to show he was not a threat. As he did, he noticed details he had not seen before. The faint patterns on her skin, like delicate fractals glowing softly. the subtle movements of her ears which twitched in rhythm with her eyes, and the almost imperceptible hum of energy surrounding her, interacting with the plants and creatures nearby. "This planet, it's alive in ways I never imagined," Jaren said, more to himself than to her. "Yes," Lyria replied, her voice a whisper that resonated in his mind. "Violia is alive, but not only in its body. Its spirit and energy are connected to us as we are connected to each other. You have opened a door." Jaren's curiosity grew stronger. "A door," her gaze deepened. "A door to understanding, to trust. Your words, simple, sincere, have a meaning on Violia. They are more than sound, they are intention." The gravity of her words struck him. He had come prepared with advanced technology, protocols, and simulations, yet here he was, learning that a simple compliment, something he might have considered trivial on Earth, held profound significance in another world. Jaren looked around, trying to absorb everything. I didn't know, I just wanted to show respect, that's all." Lyria's eyes softened, a calming light spreading through the glow. "And respect is what you have given. That is why the planet and I respond as we do. Many who come before would not have survived the first encounter." He swallowed. "Survived?" She nodded, almost imperceptibly. "Not all humans or other beings are patient or sincere. Fear can be contagious. Curiosity without respect can be destructive. You are different." For a moment, Jaren felt the weight of history, the countless explorers who had failed, the civilizations that had been lost because they did not understand the importance of simple gestures, trust, and patience. And yet here he was, standing on alien soil, sharing a moment of connection that could change everything. He smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "Then, I am glad to be different." The air around them seemed to shimmer, as if affirming his words. Tiny lights danced across the ground, and the floating creatures twirled in patterns that resembled constellations. Jaren felt a sense of awe he could hardly describe. "You will need to learn our ways, Commander," Lyria said softly, her eyes now calm, shimmering with gentle blues and greens. "And I will help you, but first you must rest. The journey you have taken is long, and your mind is not yet attuned to our energies." Jaren nodded. "Thank you, Lyria, for trusting me." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "And you for trusting yourself. Tomorrow the true lesson begins." As night fell on Violia, Jaren looked up at the twin moons. The sky above seemed alive, the stars shimmering in patterns that mirrored the bioluminescent plants below. He realized that he was not just on another planet. He was on the threshold of a connection that could redefine humanity's place in the universe. And it all began with a simple, honest compliment. "You have great eyes." For the first time in his life, Jaren understood that words, intentions, and trust could carry power beyond technology, beyond weapons, beyond human understanding. Here, on the edge of the cosmos, a new story was beginning, one of friendship, discovery, and the extraordinary potential of connection. As he settled into a small clearing among the glowing plants, Jaren couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. Tomorrow he would step further into the unknown. But tonight, he simply watched the alien world breathe, alive with wonder, possibility, and the unspoken promise of friendship. And in the gentle glow of Lyria's eyes, he saw a future that was as bright and endless as the stars themselves. The first light of Violia's twin suns filtered through the translucent leaves of the glowing trees, casting long, sparkling shadows on the ground. Commander Jaren awoke to a gentle hum in the air, a vibration that seemed to pass through the soil, the plants, and even his own body. He rubbed his eyes, still adjusting to the alien light, and remembered last night. The encounter, the glow of Lyria's eyes, and the strange emotional melody that had filled his mind. He looked around the clearing, noting the faint trails of luminescent creatures floating lazily above the ground. The atmosphere felt alive, almost as if it was aware of him. Slowly, he rose and stretched, taking a deep breath of the crisp, sweet air. This planet was unlike anything Earth had ever known, and he could feel that every small detail held meaning. As he began walking toward the edge of the clearing, a figure stepped silently from behind a cluster of glowing ferns. It was Lyria. She moved with effortless grace, her silver skin reflecting the morning light. Her eyes, even in the soft dawn, shone with the same mesmerizing glow that had captivated him the night before. "Good morning, Commander," she said, her voice soft but melodic, filling his mind as it had last night. "You rested well?" Jaren nodded, smiling. Better than I expected. Your world, it's alive in a way I never imagined. She tilted her head, a gesture that seemed almost thoughtful. Violia responds to all who enter with honest intentions. The planet watches, feels, and sometimes teaches. You have already begun to learn, though not through technology, but through connection. Jaren felt both curious and cautious. I still don't fully understand. What happened last night, when I said your eyes were great, it wasn't just a compliment, was it? Her eyes shifted to shades of gold and deep violet pulsating gently. On Violia, words carry power beyond sound. They are felt, understood, and sometimes shared as emotion. Your compliment, it was recognized as honesty, warmth, and respect. That is rare among strangers. Jaren stepped closer, lowering his voice in reverence. I only meant to be polite. I didn't know it could do that. Lyria's smile was subtle but genuine. Many do not understand and many fail. You succeeded because you spoke with your heart, not your mind alone. This is why the planet responded. You have opened a door that others might never see. Jaren glanced around, noticing the plants swaying gently, even though there was no wind. The luminescent creatures hovered closer, almost as if they were observing the interaction. So, this planet can feel what we feel. Lyria nodded. Not exactly. It senses intent, energy, emotion, a reflection of those who are present. It has chosen to accept you for now, but trust, Commander, must be maintained. Every action has meaning. Jaren took a moment to absorb her words. On Earth, he had faced danger, intrigue, and diplomacy countless times, but here, even a small gesture could hold monumental consequences. He realized that understanding this culture required patience, attention, and respect. Then I want to learn, he said. I want to understand your people, your planet, everything I can. Her eyes softened, and the golden light pulsed warmly. Then we will begin. But first, you must be ready for a journey. Today, you will see not just the surface of Violia, but its heartbeat. Jaren followed Lyria as she led him through the glowing forest. The air was filled with faint harmonic vibrations, almost like a song, and Jaren felt a gentle thrill of anticipation. The deeper they walked, the more he noticed subtle interactions, plants shifting slightly as Lyria passed, tiny creatures orbiting around her, and occasional sparks of light that seemed to respond to her presence. This is incredible, Jaren murmured. I've never felt anything like this. Lyria glanced at him, her eyes shifting through a spectrum of colors. It is unusual for outsiders, but you are not like others. You observe, respect, and seek understanding. That is why the planet allows you to see these things. After walking for what felt like an hour, they arrived at a shallow valley. A crystal-clear stream cut through the glowing terrain, reflecting light in a kaleidoscope of colors. Strange, floating plants hovered above the water, swaying gently as if moved by an unseen hand. Jaren knelt beside the stream, cupping the cool liquid in his hands. It had a subtle shimmer, and when he looked closely, he could see faint patterns moving beneath the surface. The water, it's alive, he said, astonished. Lyria nodded. It carries the memory of Violia. Everything that happens here leaves an imprint. The plants, the soil, the water, even the air. Life is not separate from the world, it is one with it. Jaren's mind raced. Humans had long explored planets, cataloged species, and mined resources, but here was a civilization that thrived on connection and respect for life. He realized how much humanity had yet to learn. May I ask a question? He said carefully. How do your people communicate? Not just with words, but with these feelings. Lyria's eyes shimmered, her pupils widening. We are connected, not always by voice, but by intention, energy, and shared understanding. Eye contact carries meaning. Gestures, touch, and even the resonance of our voices create bonds. When you complimented my eyes, you initiated such a bond, though you did not know it. That is why the reaction occurred. Jaren thought carefully before speaking. So if I want to communicate, I need to focus on intention, not just words. Exactly, Lyria said. And patience, trust builds slowly as the planet teaches. Do not rush, do not force. Observe, feel, and respond honestly. That is the way. Jaren smiled faintly. I think I understand. At least I will try. For the next few hours, Lyria guided him through the valley. She showed him how the plants responded to subtle gestures, how tiny creatures could be coaxed closer through calm intent, and how the resonance of his voice affected the environment. Jaren practiced, speaking softly, focusing on sincerity, and gradually noticed the world responding. Small leaves turned to face him, lights flickered in recognition, and the creatures hovered near without fear. This is amazing, he said, a hint of awe in his voice. It's like the planet is alive and it's listening. Lyria's eyes glowed softly. It listens, yes, but it does not judge without reason. It tests, observes, and responds to sincerity. You have passed some tests already, Commander, though others will be more challenging. As they continued, a sudden movement caught Jaren's attention. From behind a cluster of crystalline plants, a small creature emerged. It had a translucent body, wings like delicate glass, and eyes that reflected the colors of the valley. The creature seemed cautious but curious, tilting its head as it regarded Jaren. Lyria smiled faintly. This is a Virelian observer. They appear timid at first but respond to trust. Show no fear and they will accept you. Jaren knelt, extending his hand slowly with no sudden movements. The creature hovered closer, wings buzzing softly, and finally rested on his outstretched arm. Jaren held his breath, marveling at the fragile beauty of the being. It seemed to sense his calm intent, its body glowing gently as if acknowledging him. "You see," Lyria said, her eyes brightening, "connection is possible, even between worlds, species, and forms of life that seem distant." Jaren nodded slowly, feeling a warmth in his chest. He realized that the bond was not just between him and Lyria. It was with the planet, the life, and every pulse of energy around him. Each step, each gesture, each word carried weight. As the sun climbed higher, Lyria led him to a small clearing atop a hill. From this vantage point, Jaren could see vast stretches of Virelia, glowing forests, flowing streams, and mountains that shimmered faintly in the distance. The planet seemed to breathe, its surface alive with color and movement. "You are ready for the next stage," Lyria said softly. "Tomorrow you will meet others of my people. You will learn more about our culture, our connection to Virelia, and the responsibilities that come with understanding. But today, rest and reflect. You have taken the first steps." Jaren gazed at the horizon, the enormity of the day sinking in. He had arrived as an outsider, an explorer with curiosity and caution. But in just one day, he had begun to understand that connection, respect, and intention could bridge worlds. And as he watched Lyria's eyes glow in the twilight, he felt a deep sense of promise, an unspoken understanding that this meeting was only the beginning of something extraordinary. For the first time in his life, Jaren truly realized that exploration was not only about discovering new places, but about discovering new ways of being, thinking, and connecting. And in the glow of Virelia, he knew the universe was more alive, more wondrous, and more interconnected than humanity had ever imagined. The next morning, the twin suns of Virelia rose slowly, casting long, golden beams over the glowing forests. Commander Jaren awoke, feeling both excitement and nervousness. Today, he would meet Lyria's people, others like her who were deeply connected to the planet. Last night's bond with Lyria was only the beginning. He wondered what the other inhabitants would be like. Would they trust him? Would they respond as Lyria did? He packed his equipment carefully, making sure every tool was ready. Though technology was useful, he knew it could not replace sincerity and patience here. Lyria waited near the edge of the glowing clearing, her silver form shimmering in the early light. Her eyes, bright and warm, seemed to sense his thoughts. "You are ready," she said softly. "The others await. Remember, your words and actions carry weight. Observe, feel, respect." "These are your tools as much as any device you carry," Jaren nodded. "I understand. I'll do my best." Together, they moved through a narrow path between tall, translucent trees. The forest was alive in a way Jaren had never seen. Leaves shifted subtly to let them pass, and faint pulses of light followed them like guiding stars. Small creatures floated around, curious but cautious, their eyes reflecting the glow of the forest. "This forest is older than any record you might know," Lyria explained. "It is part of the planet's memory. Every life, every moment leaves traces here. We are its guardians, not its rulers. And now, you will see why this is important." After some time, they reached a large open area, a valley surrounded by crystalline cliffs that refracted the sunlight into rainbow-like colors. At the center, beings similar to Lyria were gathered. Some were walking gracefully, interacting with the glowing plants, while others floated slightly above the ground, their eyes reflecting shifting colors of emotion and thought. Jaren's breath caught at the sight. Lyria stepped forward. "These are my people. They have been expecting you, but they will judge you not by your words alone, but by your intent, your calm, and your willingness to understand." Jaren took a deep breath and stepped forward. His voice was steady but quiet. "Greetings. I am Commander Jaren from Earth. I come in peace and hope to learn from you and your world." A being approached him first, a male with eyes like molten silver. His gaze was intense but curious. For a long moment, Jaren felt the strange, melodic resonance in his mind, the same he had felt with Lyria. Emotions, memories, and intent intertwined as if being gently shared. "You have Lyria's trust," the being said softly, his voice a calm melody in Jaren's mind. "That is rare, but trust must extend further. You must prove your willingness to understand Violia, not just speak words." Jaren nodded, unsure how to respond. "I am ready to learn and follow guidance." The being's eyes softened. "Then begin. The trial is simple in appearance but complex in meaning. You will navigate the forest of whispers, gathering the energy of life and demonstrating respect to all beings you encounter. Only then will you be considered a visitor, not a stranger." Jaren swallowed and looked toward the forest, which stretched beyond the valley. It was dense, filled with glowing plants, floating creatures, and sounds that seemed like whispers in the air. He felt a thrill of anticipation and a touch of fear. This was unlike any challenge he had faced before. Success here depended not on weapons or strength, but on patience, intelligence, and human adaptability. Lyria placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do not rush. Listen, observe, feel. Remember, every being, every plant, every creature is alive and aware. Treat them with care." Jaren nodded again. "I will." He entered the forest cautiously. At first it seemed quiet, almost still. But as he moved, he noticed subtle changes. The leaves swaying slightly toward him, tiny orbs of light flickering in his direction, and the soft hum that resonated with his heartbeat. He stopped and closed his eyes for a moment, trying to sense the energy around him. Slowly, he reached out to a floating plant, hovering gently in front of him. The leaves shimmered, and he instinctively mirrored her movements, placing his hand near the plant without touching it. The plant pulsed gently, a response of recognition. He smiled. Even without words, he was beginning to understand. Further in, a small creature with wings like glass approached him. It hovered at eye level, watching him with bright, shifting eyes. Jaren knelt slowly, exhaling gently, letting his energy calm. The creature circled him once, then landed softly on his shoulder. He felt a surge of connection, not just to the creature, but to everything around him. Hours passed as Jaren navigated the forest, encountering more beings and subtle challenges. Some required him to solve small puzzles using observation and creativity, such as guiding water to a thirsty plant without touching it directly, or synchronizing his breathing to the vibrations of the forest to calm anxious creatures. Each time he succeeded, often by relying on intuition and patience rather than tools or technology. By late afternoon, he reached the center of the forest, a clearing with a glowing pool of water surrounded by tall, radiant trees. The water shimmered with multiple colors, reflecting the life energy of the forest. Jaren knelt, sensing the hum of the planet flowing through him. A voice filled his mind, not Lyria's, but a collective resonance of the forest itself. "You have observed, you have respected. You have listened and acted with sincerity. These are the ways of Violia. You may now learn more of our history and purpose." Jaren looked around, astonished. It's alive. The forest, it talks in its own way." "Yes," the resonance replied. "It shares knowledge, not with words, but with feeling, memory, and connection. You have proven that your species has the potential to understand beyond words and tools. This is why you are allowed here." At that moment, Lyria appeared at the edge of the clearing. Her eyes glowed softly, and she smiled. "You have done well, Commander. The forest has accepted you, and so have my people. Now we can show you the next step, our history, our culture, and the reason we are so deeply connected to Violia." Jaren rose, still marveling at the pool and the radiant trees. "I want to know everything. I want to understand why your world is like this and how I can help protect it." Lyria nodded. "We will begin with stories of the past. But you must remember, knowledge is not just information. It is understanding, and understanding requires trust and patience." They moved together to a nearby cliff, where a panoramic view of the planet revealed forests, rivers, mountains, and glowing valleys stretching as far as the eye could see. Jaren noticed faint structures in the distance, homes or gathering places seamlessly integrated into the landscape, glowing softly as if alive themselves. "These are our settlements," Lyria explained. "Our people live in harmony with Violia. We do not dominate it, we guide, protect, and learn from it. Everything we do is connected. We honor life, energy, and memory. Our bonds are formed through trust and respect, not force or technology alone. Jaren looked down at the settlements, amazed. It's beautiful and so different from anything I've seen. On Earth, we build and take, often without thinking about the balance. Here, everything seems alive, aware, and cared for. Yes, Lyria said softly, and now you are part of it, even if only in small ways. Your actions here, your patience, your respect, they have already influenced the forest, the creatures, and the energy of the land. Jaren felt a surge of pride and responsibility. He realized that humanity's strength was not just in technology or intelligence, but in adaptability, empathy, and the willingness to learn. Here, on Violia, those qualities were more important than any weapon or device. As the suns began to set, the valley and forest shimmered in golden and violet light. Jaren sat beside Lyria, watching the glowing rivers and floating creatures. "I've learned so much today," he said quietly. "Not just about your world, but about ourselves. Humans can do amazing things if we listen, respect, and act with care." Lyria's eyes glowed softly. "And that is why you were accepted. The planet, the forest, and my people all recognized your potential, but the greatest lessons are yet to come. You must remember, trust can be fragile and understanding requires courage. Tomorrow, you will face challenges that test both." Jaren nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and determination. He understood that this journey was not only about discovery, but about proving that humanity could rise to the occasion, not with power alone, but with heart, mind, and empathy. As night fell on Violia, the glowing landscape sparkled like a sea of stars. Jaren felt a profound connection to Lyria, her people, the forest, and the planet itself. This was no longer a simple exploration. It was the beginning of a bond that could shape the future, not only for him, but for humanity as well. And in the quiet glow of the forest, he realized that one small act, a simple compliment spoken honestly, had opened a door to trust, understanding, and something far greater than he had ever imagined. For the first time, Commander Jaren truly believed that humans could not only explore the stars, but also connect with the life, energy, and wonder that awaited among them. The following morning, Commander Jaren awoke to a soft, golden glow filtering through the canopy of Violia's forest. Birds, or at least creatures that resembled birds, sang in a delicate musical rhythm, their voices blending with the subtle hum of the planet itself. Despite the beauty, Jaren could sense something different in the air, a tension he could not yet name. Lyria was waiting for him at the edge of the clearing. Her eyes shimmered with a mixture of calm and concern. "Commander, today you will see not only the wonder of Violia, but also the responsibilities that come with understanding it," she said, her melodic voice resonating gently in his mind. "What do you mean?" Jaren asked, adjusting his suit and scanning the surroundings. She gestured toward the horizon, where the glowing forest stretched endlessly. "The planet is alive, but it is not always peaceful. Storms and dangers test the balance of life here. You will witness one today. You must work with us to protect what is vulnerable." Jaren's heart quickened. "Dangers? Of what kind?" Before Lyria could answer, a low rumble echoed through the valley. The ground beneath them vibrated faintly, and the sky darkened as clouds of violet and silver swirled overhead. A storm unlike any he had ever seen was forming, powered not just by weather but by the planet itself. Sparks of energy flickered in the clouds, sending waves of light across the forest below. "This is the crystal storm," Lyria said softly. "It tests the strength of the forest and the bonds between life here. We must act quickly to protect the settlements and the creatures within." Jaren's training kicked in immediately. He activated his portable scanning device, which detected energy spikes and highlighted vulnerable areas. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. He realized that this was not just a natural storm. It was a test of teamwork, intelligence, and connection with the environment. Lyria's eyes glowed brighter. "You will use both human ingenuity and your understanding of the planet. Follow me. The first settlement is at risk." They moved swiftly through the glowing forest, the wind picking up as small creatures and floating plants began to swirl chaotically. Jaren noticed that some of the trees bent and shimmered as if bracing themselves, their leaves glowing more intensely in response to the storm. He realized that the forest was alive in a protective way, reacting to the danger and to the actions of those within it. At the edge of a small settlement, they found Violian structures built seamlessly into the glowing terrain. The inhabitants were already at work, using gestures and energy pulses to strengthen barriers made of plants and crystal formations. The storm was closer now, and the winds carried a strange, electric charge that made the air tingle. "Commander," Lyria said, "you must work with the energy nodes. They can create protective shields, but they require balance and precise intention. Use your understanding of calm and focus. This is where your human qualities are valuable." Jaren approached one of the glowing nodes, placing his hands near it without touching. He felt a subtle vibration, a pulse of energy that seemed to respond to his heartbeat. Closing his eyes, he concentrated on calm, steady intent. Slowly, the node began to glow brighter, sending arcs of protective energy outward. Other nodes responded in sequence, creating a shimmering dome around the settlement. The inhabitants paused to observe, then nodded with approval. "You are learning quickly," one said, his melodic thoughts resonating in Jaren's mind. "Your focus and sincerity harmonize with the energy of Violia. Continue." The storm intensified, lightning-like bolts arcing from the swirling clouds above. Jaren and Lyria worked side by side, moving from node to node, synchronizing their intentions to stabilize the protective shields. Each pulse of energy required precision, patience, and a deep understanding of the planet's responses. Jaren realized that here, his ability to adapt, observe, and act with care was more powerful than any technology he had brought from Earth. A sudden roar echoed through the forest. A section of glowing trees had been uprooted by a surge of wind and energy, threatening to fall onto the settlement. Jaren acted instinctively, using a portable tether to redirect the energy flow, stabilizing the trees without harming the creatures trapped beneath them. The inhabitants gasped in admiration, and even Lyria's eyes glowed with pride. "You see," Lyria said as they caught their breath, "human ingenuity is not limited to machines or tools. Your ability to observe, reason, and act with care is a strength that complements the energy of Violia. This is why you were accepted." Jaren nodded, though the storm still raged around them. "I'm beginning to understand. Here, it's not just about technology, it's about connection, trust, and careful action. Every decision matters." As they continued, a sudden surge of energy hit the protective dome, causing it to flicker dangerously. Jaren noticed a gap forming in the energy flow. "We need to reinforce the north node," he shouted to Lyria, pointing toward the source of the disruption. Lyria nodded, guiding him through the steps. Together, they focused their intentions, matching the rhythm of the energy pulses. Slowly, the dome stabilized, glowing brighter than before. The inhabitants cheered softly, acknowledging their teamwork. But the storm was not finished. A massive surge of energy swept toward the center of the settlement, threatening to overwhelm the shields. Jaren knew that if they failed, the damage could be catastrophic, not just to the structures, but to the delicate balance of life around them. "Lyria," he said urgently, "we need to combine our energy fully. I'll channel through the nodes with you. Focus on the forest and the creatures. Let me guide the flow." She nodded, eyes glowing intensely. Together, they placed their hands near the nodes, closing their eyes and synchronizing their thoughts and intentions. Jaren felt a strange rush of emotion, fear, determination, and hope blending into a single focus. The energy of the nodes responded, pulsing in harmony with their combined will. A bright, protective wave radiated outward, enveloping the settlement. The surge of the storm collided with the shield, causing a dazzling display of light and color, but the dome held firm. Jaren opened his eyes, marveling at the sight. Even the storm seemed to hesitate, as if acknowledging their victory. The inhabitants approached, expressing gratitude through gestures, resonating thoughts, and gentle touches. "You have acted with courage and balance," one said. "Your species has potential beyond what we imagined. You have not only protected the settlement, but strengthened our bond with Violia itself." Jaren felt a surge of pride, but also humility. "It wasn't just me," he said. "It was all of us working together, the energy of the planet, your guidance, and the trust we shared." Lyria smiled, her eyes glowing softly. "Yes, Commander, today proved something important. Strength is not only measured by power or weapons. It is measured by connection, empathy, and the ability to act wisely under pressure. Humans have these qualities in abundance. This is why the planet allowed you to participate, and why my people trust you more each day." As the storm began to pass, Jaren surveyed the valley. The settlement was intact, the creatures unharmed and the energy of the forest returning to calm. The sun's light filtered through the dissipating clouds, illuminating the glowing flora in breathtaking patterns. "You have learned much today," Lyria said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "But the journey is not over. Challenges will continue, and each will test different aspects of your spirit and mind. Remember, connection, observation, patience, and courage. These are the true tools of explorers." Jaren looked at the valley, at the glowing forest, and at Lyria. "I understand. I've learned that humans can adapt, connect, and protect, not just with technology, but with our minds, hearts, and actions. We can rise to challenges if we choose to observe, respect, and act wisely." Lyria's eyes glimmered with approval. "Exactly. You are beginning to embody what it means to be a friend of Violia, and tomorrow you will face a different kind of challenge, one that will test not only your skills but the bonds of trust you have built with my people." Jaren felt a mixture of anticipation and excitement. Today had proven that humanity's strengths, curiosity, ingenuity, empathy, and courage could flourish even in the most alien environments. He realized that humans were capable of remarkable achievements when guided by respect, understanding, and connection. As night fell on the valley, the stars reflected in the luminescent rivers and the floating lights of Violia. Jaren stood beside Lyria, feeling the hum of the planet resonate through his body. The crisis had been overcome, but the lessons remained vivid in his mind. For the first time, he truly understood that exploration was not only about discovering new worlds, but also about rising to challenges with heart, mind, and courage. And as he gazed at the glowing horizon, he knew that humanity's potential, its adaptability, intelligence, and empathy, was something the universe could recognize, respect, and even rely upon. And in the calm aftermath of the storm, with Lyria's eyes shining in quiet approval, Jaren realized that one day, humans could truly stand among the stars, not just as explorers, but as guardians, friends, and allies to worlds beyond their own. The morning air on Violia was calm, almost serene after the crystal storm of the previous day. Commander Jaren woke with a mixture of excitement and reflection. The events of yesterday had left him in awe, not just of the planet's beauty and energy, but of the strength of connection, trust, and cooperation he had shared with Lyria and her people. He stretched and adjusted his suit, thinking of the lessons he had learned. Humans were capable of adapting, understanding, and contributing in ways he had never imagined. Violia had tested him, shown him the limits of patience and observation, and he had risen to the occasion. Today he felt would be different, but equally meaningful. Lyria was waiting at the edge of the clearing, her silver skin shimmering in the soft morning light. Her eyes glowed with calm warmth, reflecting the twin suns above. "Commander," she said, her melodic voice echoing gently in his mind, "today you will witness something rare. You have gained the trust of the forest, the creatures, and my people. Today you will understand the depth of our connection and the promise it holds for the future." Jaren nodded, feeling anticipation stir in his chest. "I'm ready. I want to learn everything you can share." Lyria led him through a forest alive with subtle energy pulses. The trees bent slightly as they passed, leaves shimmering like threads of light. Small creatures hovered near, responding to Jaren's calm presence. He felt a profound sense of belonging, not as an outsider, but as a participant in a living, breathing world. "Today," Lyria continued, "you will witness the ceremony of the bond. It is an event that honors trust, cooperation, and the connection between beings. You will see why your actions, your sincerity, and your willingness to understand matter so much." They arrived at a wide clearing surrounded by crystalline cliffs. In the center, a circle of Lyria's people had formed. Each individual glowed softly, their eyes reflecting emotions as varied and complex as the forest itself. The air vibrated with anticipation, filled with gentle resonance that Jaren could feel in his chest. "Sit with me," Lyria said, gesturing to a spot beside her. Jaren did as she instructed. Around them, the inhabitants of Violia began moving in a coordinated pattern, their hands tracing intricate gestures in the air. The patterns of energy flowed outward, connecting with the plants, the floating creatures, and the glowing forest around them. Jaren watched in awe as he realized that this was more than a ceremony. It was a living demonstration of harmony, trust, and connection. Each being's intention flowed into the next, forming a network of energy that strengthened the planet's balance. Even the air itself seemed to shimmer with their combined presence. You see, Commander, Lyria said softly, our people do not dominate or control Violia. We work with it, we guide and protect, but we also learn. Every action is shared, every thought and feeling resonates. You have become part of this network. Your trust, your empathy, your understanding, they all contribute. Jaren felt a rush of emotion. He realized that his simple actions, his patience, careful observation, and honest words had allowed him to connect with this world in a way that few outsiders ever could. I never imagined something like this, he whispered. It's beautiful, and it makes me understand why respect and patience matter so much. Lyria's eyes glimmered. Humans are capable of remarkable things, Commander. You have shown that strength is not only in power or technology, it is in connection, empathy, and careful action. This is why you are accepted here. A gentle hum filled the clearing, growing louder as the ceremony continued. Jaren closed his eyes, letting the vibrations flow through him. Memories, feelings, and small impressions of Violia's history passed through him, not through words, but through emotion and understanding. He saw the evolution of the planet, the careful nurturing of life, and the countless moments when the inhabitants had chosen patience and care over haste or force. He felt a deep bond with Lyria, not just as a guide or friend, but as a partner in understanding and protecting this world. The planet itself seemed to acknowledge him, sending pulses of energy that resonated with his own heartbeat. Jaren realized that this was the ultimate reward for his sincerity and courage, the recognition that his presence mattered, that humans could rise to meet the challenges of alien worlds with intelligence, empathy, and respect. The ceremony reached a climax. A glowing orb appeared above the center of the clearing, formed entirely of concentrated energy from the surrounding beings. Its light reflected the bonds of trust, cooperation, and understanding that connected everyone present. Jaren felt the orb's energy wash over him, and for a moment he was one with the planet, the forest, and the people of Violia. You have witnessed the heart of Violia, Lyria said, her eyes glimmering with pride. And now you understand your role, not as a conqueror or outsider, but as a friend and ally. The future of your species can be brighter, Commander, if humans choose to embrace connection, empathy, and careful action as their true strength. Jaren opened his eyes and looked at the glowing orb, feeling a profound sense of purpose. I understand, he said quietly, and I will carry this lesson back to Earth. We can do better, be better, if we learn to respect and connect, not just take and conquer. Lyria's smile was radiant. Then the bond is complete. Today, you are not just a visitor, you are part of our story, and our world acknowledges your presence and your intentions. The inhabitants of Violia began to disperse slowly, returning to their homes and activities, their eyes shimmering with gentle light. Jaren felt the hum of the planet soften, like a heartbeat slowing after a rush of activity. He turned to Lyria. Thank you, he said sincerely, for trusting me, guiding me, and showing me this world. I will never forget it. Lyria's eyes glowed softly. And I thank you, Commander. You have shown that humans are capable of understanding, courage, and empathy. You remind us that even strangers can become friends, and that connection is more powerful than isolation. They walked together to a hill overlooking the valley, watching the twin suns dip lower in the sky. The glowing forest, the floating creatures, and the shimmering rivers of Violia reflected the calm energy of the evening. You know, Jaren said thoughtfully, when I first complimented your eyes, I never imagined it would lead to all this. A simple word spoken honestly, it changed everything. Lyria's eyes sparkled with amusement and warmth. And that is why honesty, sincerity, and care matter, Commander. One small action can ripple through worlds. Never underestimate the power of simple kindness. Jaren smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. I'll remember that, always. They sat in silence for a while, watching the lights of Violia. Jaren felt the connection he had built deepen, not just with Lyria, but with the planet itself, the forest, and the people who lived in harmony with it. He realized that exploration was not only about discovering new worlds, but about building trust, understanding, and lasting relationships. As darkness settled, the luminescent plants and creatures lit the valley in a soft, glowing symphony. Jaren took a deep breath, feeling both humility and pride. Humanity had much to learn, but here on Violia, he had witnessed what humans could achieve when guided by empathy, courage, and understanding. You will return to Earth soon, Lyria said gently, sensing his thoughts. But the bond you have formed here will remain. Violia will remember you, and my people will carry your lessons forward. And perhaps one day, your species will walk among the stars not just as explorers, but as friends and allies to other worlds. Jaren nodded, feeling the truth of her words resonate in his heart. I hope so, and I will do my best to help humanity understand what I have learned here. Connection, respect, and empathy, these are more important than anything else. Lyria smiled, her eyes glowing softly in the twilight. Then you are already part of a larger story, Commander, one that spans worlds, generations, and possibilities. The bond you created, it is lasting. As the night deepened, the twin moons reflected in the glowing rivers, casting shimmering patterns across the valley. Jaren stood beside Lyria, feeling the hum of Violia in his bones. He realized that this journey had changed him, not only as an explorer, but as a human being capable of understanding and connecting in ways he had never imagined. I will never forget you, he said quietly, looking at Lyria, or this world, or what I have learned here. And we will not forget you, she replied. You have shown us the best of your kind, and that is a gift more precious than any treasure, more powerful than any technology, and more lasting than any monument. As they watched the glowing horizon, Commander Jaren felt a quiet joy. The journey had begun with a single, simple act, a compliment, honest and kind. Yet it had led to a bond that transcended worlds, a lesson that could shape the future, and a friendship that would endure. For the first time, he truly understood the meaning of connection, respect, and the extraordinary potential of humanity. And as he gazed at Lyria's shimmering eyes, he knew that this was only the beginning of a story that would reach far beyond Violia, touching hearts and minds across the stars. And in the calm glow of the alien night, with the forest humming softly around them, Commander Jaren felt a promise, not just for himself, but for all humanity. A promise of understanding, empathy, and friendship that could shine as brightly as the twin suns of Violia, lighting the way across the universe.